Have you ever had a fantasy that was so weird or intense you thought, what the hell is wrong with me? But let's pause. First, there's probably nothing wrong with you. Fantasies, especially the ones that feel a little bit weird or too much, are often just your subconscious blowing off steam. They're not predictions, they're not confessions, and they're also not really a list of things you actually want to happen. They're the brain's way of working something out creatively. Here's an example. Say someone is constantly in control in their daily life, big job, making decisions, carrying everyone else's weight. They may fantasize about submission, being helpless, not because they want to be harmed, but because their mind is craving relief from being in charge. This can look, in some cases, to be pretty extreme, maybe even shocking, but that doesn't mean that anything's wrong, and it doesn't necessarily mean you want it to happen in real life either. It might, but it definitely doesn't have to mean that. It's just your brain's way of dealing with emotions, like dreaming, right? Or watching a scary movie. It's cathartic. And a fantasy can absolutely stay just that, a fantasy. It doesn't mean you want it to be real. In fact, sometimes making it real would not be good. You wouldn't like it. The mental play is often the point. The emotional release is the point. Fantasies are more like dreams than desires. You don't wake up from a dream, running from zombies and you're like, cool, I need to be chased. It's just your brain processing different things, stress or fear through metaphors. Fantasies can be the same. They're often symbolic, messy, playful, complicated. If a fantasy starts turning into something, that you're really obsessing over, like it's interrupting your day, taking over your thoughts, then, maybe it's something you want to happen in real life. If it is something that you feel is pushing you towards something unsafe or non-consensual, then that is your cue to speak to a therapist for sure. But look for a sex-positive, trauma-informed therapist. A lot of therapists still aren't comfortable talking about sex, actually. So you don't need shame on top of confusion. So we all have weird stuff going on in our heads. That's the truth. Some of us more vanilla than others. Some of it can be pretty freaky. Some of it can be violent or exaggerated or surreal. And that doesn't mean it has to define anything in particular about you. It just means your brain is creative and emotional, maybe a little horny. Welcome to being human. What's a fantasy? Well, no, I'm not going to ask you about a fantasy that made you, it's like, what's a fantasy made you take a double take? You don't have to share that here. Just know that you're not alone if you've ever felt a little too freaky.